What if I told you that your muscles aren't disappearing because you're old, but because they've been waiting for a signal? And what if I told you that this signal could be reignited by something your body already knows how to use? And that the secret to regaining your strength, balance, and even confidence may take only 5 seconds a day? Let me ask you a personal question. Have you noticed it? That small struggle when getting up from the chair? The slight hesitation when stepping off a curb? Or the longer recovery time after just a short walk? Most people shrug and say, that's just aging. But it's not just aging. It's a message from your body. A quiet cry for help from the connection between your brain and your muscles. Science now shows something powerful. Muscle loss after 60 begins in the nervous system long before it shows up in the mirror. And more importantly, it can be reversed. Today, we'll unpack that revelation through one simple but misunderstood supplement, a daily practice that can reawaken your brain's command over your strength, and how a man named James, 71, rebuilt the power in his legs and confidence in his step without ever joining a gym. Stay with me to the end, because what you're about to learn may not only change how you feel about your own body, but how you live in it. This is elderly wisdom backed by science, born from reflection and transformed into action. If this video resonates with your journey or someone you love who's walking this same road, I invite you to like, comment, and subscribe for more stories, insights, and tools designed for senior health, longevity, and graceful independence. Let me take you back to a quiet morning in suburban Ohio. James, 71, was standing in front of his porch steps. For the first time, he hesitated. It wasn't pain that stopped him. It was uncertainty. What if I can't make it up in one go? That moment, small as it seemed, marked a turning point. Not just for James, but for many older adults who suddenly realize their body no longer answers as quickly as their mind commands. Here's the truth. The decline in strength after 60 doesn't begin in the muscles. It begins in the brain. Studies from the Journal of Gerontology and Neurobiology of Aging show that the motor cortex, the part of your brain responsible for movement, becomes less active after age 50. If your motor neurons, the cables that connect your brain to your muscles, aren't regularly stimulated, they begin to fray and die. This process is called denervation, and it leads to sarcopenia, the gradual loss of muscle mass and function. But here's the good news. Denervation is not destiny, and science has found a surprising ally in reversing it: creatine monohydrate. You've probably heard of creatine as something for young gym goers, but the truth is, creatine is already in your body. It's stored in your muscles and brain, and it fuels the energy your cells use to move, think, and recover. And after 60, your body's natural supply of creatine declines. That's why researchers have begun recommending it as one of the most effective, affordable, and safe supplements for seniors. A study published in Neurobiology of Aging, 2019, found that older adults who took creatine daily saw improved neuromuscular response even without intense exercise. Their brain-to-muscle communication became sharper. They moved faster. Their sense of stability improved. Let's zoom back in on James. He started with something simple, a 5g scoop of creatine monohydrate mixed into water every morning. No fancy equipment, no gym, just one small scoop and one big commitment to move again. He added a 10-rep routine of sit-to-stand exercises from his kitchen chair. At first, it was hard. His knees trembled, his breath shortened, but then something surprising happened. Within 3 weeks, James reported that he could rise from the floor without bracing himself on furniture. He started walking farther with less effort. More than the muscle, it was the confidence that returned. A quiet, internal strength. And here's why. Creatine helps regenerate ATP, adenosine triphosphate, the fuel for every cell in your body. Each time your brain tells your body to move, ATP is spent. When you're young, your body produces and recycles it quickly. But after 60, that ability slows. Creatine provides the raw material to recycle ATP faster, which means your reactions become quicker, your balance becomes steadier, your muscles become more responsive. Now think of this like rewiring an old lamp. If the bulb still works, but the wire from the switch is frayed, the light won't come on. Supplementing creatine is like fixing that wire. And there's something else we rarely talk about: the emotional impact of losing physical control. Many seniors begin to withdraw from life not because they want to, but because they no longer trust their body. Restoring movement isn't just about mobility, it's about dignity. It's about the power to rise, walk, and live without fear of falling. The science backs it up. Even mild resistance training, paired with creatine, showed in a 2021 meta-analysis an increase in lean muscle, functional strength, and overall independence in people aged 60 to 85. Not gym rats, just ordinary seniors who decided they wanted to age with vitality. So what does this look like in practice? Here is a foundational protocol you can adopt today. 1. Creatine dosage. Take 5 grams daily of creatine monohydrate. Mix it with a small meal, ideally one with some carbs to improve absorption. 2. Movement practice. 10 chair squats, sit to stand, per day. Walk for 10-15 minutes, even if broken into shorter sessions. Optional, standing leg lifts or wall push-ups. 3. Consistency. Over intensity. You do not need to train hard. What your nervous system needs is repetition, not punishment. You're rebuilding neural maps that may have gone dormant. And like any map, the more you travel the path, the clearer it becomes. If you've ever watched a loved one become smaller, not in size but in spirit, you understand the quiet tragedy of decline. But the opposite is also true. Every time you choose movement over surrender, nutrient over neglect, practice over passivity, you begin to rebuild not just strength, but presence. This is where elderly reflections turn into real change. This is where senior health meets longevity. And if you're reading this and thinking, "I'm too old for change," I want you to remember James. He didn't become younger, but he became stronger, more balanced, more free. And if James could do it starting from a chair in his kitchen, so can you. Because it's not about big leaps. It's about small, consistent choices that send a message to your body. I'm still here. I still matter. In the next part of this video, we'll explore how creatine not only restores muscle, but also revitalizes your brain, improving focus, memory, and even emotional resilience. Because the power of this small supplement goes far beyond the physical. Stay tuned. Let me ask you something personal. Have you ever walked into a room and forgotten why you entered? Have you found yourself mid-sentence, grasping for a word you've used 100 times before? For Linda, a 72-year-old retired school principal from Oregon, these moments began quietly. First, she misplaced names, then appointments. Eventually, she began to lose trust in her mind. "It's like a fog," she once told her son, voice trembling. "I can still think, but everything feels slower, like I'm pushing through water." This isn't just normal aging. It's the brain calling out for help. And the tragedy is, many seniors mistake this mental fatigue for permanent decline. But the truth is, much like muscle, the mind can be nourished, re-energized, and even sharpened when given the right tools. One of the most promising tools is the same humble compound we explored earlier, creatine monohydrate. But this time, we're not talking about movement. We're talking about memory, clarity, and emotional steadiness. You see, the brain, despite being only 2% of your body weight, consumes over 20% of your energy. That energy is fueled by ATP, the molecule we discussed earlier. Every time you remember a name, focus on a conversation, or navigate emotional stress, your neurons burn ATP. Here's the catch. After 60, your neurons become less efficient at replenishing this fuel. The result? You tire more quickly, lose focus sooner, and take longer to recover from mental effort. Here's where creatine steps in, not as a stimulant, but as a support system. Studies published in Experimental Gerontology and Aging and Disease have confirmed that creatine supplementation improves working memory, processing speed, and resistance to mental fatigue in older adults. This isn't theory. This is science translating into everyday life. Linda's story illustrates this. After speaking to her doctor and beginning a simple 5G daily creatine routine, taken with oatmeal each morning, she began to notice changes. Not dramatic, not overnight. But by week 3, she was finishing crossword puzzles again. By week 5, her son remarked, "You seem sharper, like more you." It's not magic, it's biology. What's happening is this. Creatine donates a phosphate molecule to help regenerate ATP inside your neurons, especially during periods of stress or cognitive demand. That buffer means your brain can handle more without draining. Think of it like a battery extender for your mind. The most compelling part? Seniors who consume little red meat or fish, the primary food sources of creatine, benefit even more. That includes many older adults following plant-based diets or those with reduced appetite. But it's not just about memory. Creatine impacts emotional regulation too. According to a study in the journal Psychopharmacology, older adults who supplemented with creatine reported lower levels of depressive symptoms and improved overall mood, especially during times of high stress or fatigue. Why? Because when your brain is energy depleted, your emotional regulation centers, especially in the prefrontal cortex, become less resilient. Supplementing creatine restores balance. Let's bring this home with a deeper idea. Mental vitality is not a luxury in old age, it's a necessity. When the mind begins to slip, it's not just memory we lose, it's identity, autonomy, and the ability to participate in the world around us. That's why interventions like creatine are so powerful. They restore something more than cognition. They restore connection. To implement this into your life, start each day by taking 5 grams of creatine monohydrate, ideally in the morning alongside a light carbohydrate like a banana, toast, or oatmeal to enhance absorption. After that, pair your supplement with a simple mental ritual, something consistent and calming, such as writing a short journal entry, doing a word puzzle, or reading a few pages of a favorite book. Over time, keep a small notebook nearby and jot down subtle shifts, moments of sharper recall, days of better focus, conversations that flow more easily. These may seem small at first, but as the days stack up, they create a mosaic of progress that reshapes how you engage with your world. And if you're wondering how long until you feel a difference, research shows most seniors begin noticing effects between weeks 2 to 4 of consistent use. Like strength training, the key is repetition. Unlike quick-fix stimulants, creatine builds a reserve, a lasting foundation that supports you during life's mental marathons. Remember Linda? She now volunteers weekly, teaching poetry at a local community center. She jokes that creatine didn't make her younger, just more like myself again. That's the quiet miracle we're after. Not perfection, not performance, but presence. In the final part of this video, we'll explore the final and perhaps most underrated power of creatine, its ability to support longevity and cellular health through the mitochondria. Because the journey of aging is not only about adding years to life, but adding clarity, confidence, and purpose to each year that remains. For many seniors, the fear of aging isn't just about wrinkles or slowing down, it's about losing independence. It's the quiet dread of needing help to get dressed, relying on medication to function, or feeling like your body is a fragile shell of who you once were. But what if the path to a stronger, more resilient you didn't lie in a medicine cabinet, but in your cells themselves? And what if one of the most important tools to defend against aging was already in your body, simply waiting to be restored? That tool, again, is creatine. In this final part, we go even deeper. Because the story of creatine isn't just about muscles or memory, it's about your mitochondria, the tiny powerhouses inside each cell that keep you alive. After age 60, mitochondrial function naturally begins to decline. This isn't just an energy issue, it's a life quality issue. When mitochondria break down, your cells can't produce enough energy. You begin to feel fatigue, experience slower healing, and lose your ability to withstand physical or mental stress. This process is also tied to a dangerous but little-known phenomenon called inflammaging, a low-grade chronic inflammation that builds silently over time, damaging joints, organs, and the brain. Scientists now believe this invisible inflammation contributes to everything from muscle wasting to Alzheimer's. But here's the empowering part. Creatine can help. A study published in Aging Research Reviews found that creatine supplementation helps stabilize mitochondrial membranes, protect against oxidative stress, and improve the efficiency of cellular energy production. What this means practically is powerful. Taking 5 g of creatine daily doesn't just restore energy to your muscles, it buffers the wear and tear of life itself. Think of it like reinforcing the foundation of a house. Your walls might be fine now, but unless you maintain the structure, cracks will form. And that's exactly what creatine is doing at the cellular level, reinforcing you from the inside out. Take Margaret, 75, a widow living alone in rural Pennsylvania. She didn't start creatine for her biceps or brain. She started because she was tired of feeling tired. Gardening exhausted her. Climbing the basement stairs felt like Everest. After reading about mitochondrial health and creatine, she gave it a try. Within 6 weeks, her story began to shift. Her endurance came back, the midday fog lifted, and most powerfully, she no longer dreaded going out for groceries. She could carry her bags again, with ease. But Margaret's experience isn't rare. In fact, newer studies suggest that creatine's long-term use may support DNA repair mechanisms, protect against the cellular stress that accelerates aging, and even reduce biomarkers tied to age-related diseases. One paper even observed potential benefits in early Parkinson's trials, not as a cure, but as a protective buffer that slows cognitive and motor decline. Other findings suggest creatine may help preserve telomeres, the protective caps at the end of our DNA strands, often associated with cellular aging. And let's not forget emotional health. Recent trials show that older adults taking creatine reported not only more physical energy, but greater emotional resilience, especially when combined with even light exercise. Why? Because when your body feels supported on a cellular level, your nervous system becomes less reactive to stress. It's a cascade of healing, starting from the inside, echoing outward to mood, motivation, and movement. Dr. Elise Navarro, a geriatric specialist at Stanford, describes creatine as a core longevity molecule in modern aging science. It's not about reversing time, she says. It's about giving your cells a chance to stay functional longer. And for many seniors, that single change dramatically improves quality of life. This leads us to one of the most overlooked truths. Aging is not linear decline. It's dynamic, responsive, and, when guided wisely, adaptive. Yes, we lose strength, resilience, and recovery speed. But we also gain awareness, intention, and experience. Creatine, then, becomes more than a supplement. It's a signal to your body that you are still investing, still adapting, still choosing strength over stagnation. What happens when you give your body what it's been craving silently for years? It responds. Not in fireworks, but in the quiet return of dignity. The easier climb up the stairs, the steadier hands reaching for a teacup, the memory that returns at the right moment. These aren't small things, they're everything. To summarize, creatine protects your mitochondria, reduces inflammation, supports DNA repair, stabilizes energy production, and even guards brain function, all without dangerous side effects, cycles, or harsh adaptation. It works because it speaks the native language of your cells, a language many seniors haven't heard clearly in decades. So what now? The same as before. Take 5 g of creatine daily with a light carb-based breakfast. Keep moving, even gently. Embrace intentional rest. Reflect on how far you've come, and remind yourself daily, you're not too late, not too old, and never beyond renewal. Because aging well isn't about avoiding decline. It's about building strength where it matters most, within. If this series has opened your eyes to the power of one small change, share it. Pass it on to someone who needs this quiet revolution. Let's change how we see aging, not as a retreat, but as reinvention. The science is clear. The time is now. The next step is yours. So let's bring everything full circle. Your body doesn't give up on you. You simply have to give it what it's needed all along. One scoop, one walk, one gentle habit. Every day, you are rebuilding something stronger. You're not aging into weakness, you're awakening into wisdom. If you found value in this journey, please consider liking this video, subscribing for more senior health and longevity insights, and most importantly, share this with someone you love. Together, we're rewriting the story of aging, one informed choice at a time. And before you go, we'd love to know, where are you watching from? Drop a comment below and let us know. Your story might just inspire someone else to begin. Because this isn't the end of your strength. It's the beginning of a stronger, wiser chapter.